Hello and welcome to Politics Hub. I am Precious Chukudi. Joining me today is Social Democratic Party presidential candidate Prince Adewole Adebayo. Thank you so much for joining me today, sir. All right, Prince Adebayo, you're one of the few candidates in the coming election who hasn't occupied a public office, and even that comes with its own experience. What do you intend to do, and how do you hope to steer the ship of the nation when you are elected?
Yeah, those who have experience have been experiencing wrong things. So, what is the experience? If anybody is asking this kind of question, they are in time travel. All this question about what experience do you have in government stop in 2015 because you cannot be more experienced than Buhari in government. He has been a governor of all the 6 states now in the Northeast. He has been petroleum minister as far back as 1977. He has been GOC, third division in Jos. He has been head of state in Nigeria. He has been PTF. He's now president. He's a complete failure. So what does that tell you? Before that, you had Goodluck Jonathan, who was the director in ministry. He became deputy governor. He became acting governor. He became governor. Became vice president. Became acting president. Became president. You yourself in 2015 said this one is useless. You threw him out. So you can go back and go back. So it is not experience. It's like somebody working in NEPA for 35 years. He's an expert in darkness because in these 35 years, he hasn't generated anything. So when we are now looking for somebody to help us generate electricity, you cannot stand up and say, oh, I work in NEPA for 40 years. We will say, get lost. That's even more reason why we're not going to hire you. So if a person says it's a general and is running away from Bokoharam, you cannot go to Daura without clearance from a terrorist before you can pass. So what is the use? So I want us to de-emphasize this issue of somebody having experience. And if you look at it 30 years ago, MK Abiola was like me. Just a professional, an accountant, a businessman who ran his own business. He's never been a councillor before. He's never been a commissioner. He's never been a minister. And he came with a clear vision. And he defeated all those people who had experience in government. Yaradua, vice president before. Olufalaye, Minister of Finance, Secretary of Government, defeated all of them. And he was elected by Nigerians. Because Nigerians realized that all these people with experience, their experience is nightmare. So it's not like a person who is a doctor, who is a pediatrician, and has been in the hospital for 20 years. And 99% of all the babies he look after have died. So if you are looking for a chief medical director, he's not going to come and say, I'm a pediatrician, hire me. You will run out of the window. You say, I can't touch this person. So it is only those who have served in government and can say, well, I served in government. So this issue of poverty, insecurity that this SDP man is talking about, in the state where I govern, they don't exist anymore. That's the only person who can talk of experience. But go and look at all of them. None of them can say that the state that they govern, those who were governor, at the end of their governorship, that the state had 1 degree less in poverty or 1 degree less in insecurity. Those who have been minister cannot say, hey, when I was a minister, when I started my career and when I ended it, this is the improvement. None. So where is it? So look at all the people that I'm running against. Their experience, they're only experienced in taking care of themselves. And experience in accumulating money. Experience in doing favors to their friends. And experience in jumping from one party to another.
All right, let's talk about your party, SDP. We're not seeing your party in several states, asking people to vote for you, obviously. How are you reaching out to Nigerians?
Yeah, because you're not in every state. So Nigeria media is like those people in anthropology called stay-at-home investigators. Because either because of poor investment in the media, you don't have a correspondent in Numan. Because if you do, he will be telling you right now there's a big rally going on in Numan, her name. So and every day we have a minimum of 500 events. Yesterday we had a big rally all over Lagos. Because we didn't go and pay 15 million, 20 million, 30 million to people to come and live stream it. With that amount of people causing commotion in the traffic going around, That should be news to even at least your traffic editor. Should tell you that, oh, there's a traffic yesterday. So Nigerian media is suffering the same malaise as the rest of them, which is that you have to bring your news to them inside their studio. And not because they are lazy, because there isn't sufficient investment in the media. Now, when we become president, those are the things we're going to do. We're going to be sure that there is a trust fund that's independently given to support media, because media is the fourth estate of the realm. And if Nigeria can spend money to maintain executive branch in the villa, spend money on National Assembly, spend money on judiciary, there should be some minimum amount of money you need to make available to support the media. That's why in the UK, BBC is run by public trust. Everybody contributes money to support it. And Ofcom, which is regulatory, has a way of making sure that even independent media has some basis of support. Because if you are asking me how my party is doing, and I have to use my mouth to boast in your studio, and you don't have a way of verifying what I'm saying. If I tell you now there are 6,000 people marching outside your studio here on behalf of my party, you don't have a way to know. So what should happen is that, let me tell you what SDP is doing. SDP is present in 176,840 polling units. We are present with executive all over the country. We are present in 8,813 wards that were present with executive, with their name of the people, with a photograph, a signature, an ID card with INEC. So this is not a film trick. You can see the person's ID card, his name, date of birth, everything is an executive. Then in 774 wards, local governments, we have full executive with their name in INEC. Then in 36 states and FCT, we have. Then in 109 senatorial district, we have executive. Then in 360 federal constituency, we have executive. These are people with name. That's why I discovered that SDP has more members than even PDP. And if you look at National Convention that we did on June 8th, we had more delegates at the International Conference Center for SDP than the delegates of PDP that came to the National Stadium, added to the delegates of APC that came to Eagle Square. Combine each other together, they're not up to the SDP delegates. But the media, they are looking for somebody to insult somebody or something. They didn't really examine that. So we need to understand the democratic process. There are a lot of activities. And when you see this, for example, in Niger State last month, we had an election. Of all these parties making noise, only the SDP won the complete local government. If you go to Kacha local government now, even though it is Niger State government that runs the election body, that conducted the election, we were still able to defeat. None of these parties are making noise that people are doing fake polls. None of them, some of them didn't even sponsor anybody at all. But we won the whole local government, we won councilorships everywhere. So you will see, I'm happy that election is just barely a month away. On that day, I want all these analysts and posters to come and see the result and know the difference between propaganda and actual work on the ground.
All right. You once said that APC, PDP, and Labour Party are all the same. How do you mean? What do you mean by they're all the same?
What is the difference? Just study history. All of them have belonged to themselves before. So it's not news. If you look at the chairman of APC now, he was for 16 years a member of PDP. He was governor of Nasarawa State for 8 years under PDP. That's the chairman of APC, Abdullahi Adamu. If you look at the secretary, who is second in command, he has been in PDP for 16 years. He was even a senator for Osun East. So that one, you cannot deny Omishore that he has been. Now, that's for APC. Now, if you go to PDP, Iyoshi Ayu has been a member of APC, major player in APC. Their presidential candidate himself was one of the new PDP that joined APC in 2015. He was even contested under APC against Buhari. So that one you cannot escape that reality. If you take uh, Mr. Peter Obi, his history is very well known. Yeah, that one has gone to every party that exists. So now in PDP, he was the coordinator of Jonathan for president in 2015. Was number 2 in the Jonathan organization. He was the PDP 4 years ago. He was the PDP vice president. Who will say Atiku is the best thing after sliced bread. So if Atiku had been elected, he would have been his vice in PDP. Now, just up to June this year, he was one of the PDP aspirants who was running for president under PDP and said PDP is the best and was flying all over the country. So I'm saying what my eyes have seen and what my ears have heard. So then I'm not saying anything new. So if I see you and I say you are a lady and you're also a journalist, I don't think you can say I'm abusing you. I'm just stating a fact that you are a lady and you work in the media. So I'm just saying that if you want to work with APC, PDP, and Labour, no problem. But if you say you are looking for an alternative, then you can know that these are not the alternative. It's just like when Tinubu was having difficulty in APC in those days. If he had come to join SDP, would that make him an alternative? It's still the same APC. So I just basically, I'm not saying that those who want to vote for them don't have a right to vote for them, but that person cannot pretend that he's voting for a new Nigeria. That would be mental contradiction and a form of insanity. For you to say, I'm voting for new Nigeria and you go and vote for any of them.
All right, let's talk about the obedience. Do you perceive them as a threat in the coming elections?
They're not a threat, they're an excitement. I like them. I like the fact that they are showing interest in politics. So they are just like people who watch football. And you see them, they'll go to any beer parlor, they'll switch on the TV, they'll be talking about you. They're not footballers. They just love football. So the fact that you are an obedient or you are a follower of Atiku, or a follower of the person who they say is a bat, or whatever they say, doesn't make you a politician. It just shows that you are a citizen who is excited by the politics of your country. But if you want to make a change, excitement is not enough. You have to know the issues at stake. You have to know the consequences of choice. You have to know the differences. So to me, that's the thing but between having obedience and not having obedience, I rather have obedience because at least they show interest in politics. The same interest that people will show in Big Brother or show in soccer, show in other things, show in there used to be this Z World or whatever the people used to show interest in. So if you now bring that amount of energy into politics, it's an entry point into understanding the dynamics in your country. So nobody should judge you by your choice. Politics is not about falling in love with slogans. They will realize, just like I was saying 8 years ago when my brothers were saying, say Buhari, anywhere you went, say Buhari. So if you want to go and buy sugarcane or suya in Agwarimi, in Kaduna, and they say Buhari, you say, what is it about? They can start fighting you and insult you and fight you. They can even beat you up. But now, they are the same one now who realize that Buhari is meaningless. Because at that time, they didn't take time to understand the problem of the country. If they understood the problem of the country, then they also understood Buhari. They would not let Buhari come 10,000 kilometers near power because they will know immediately that this man can't solve the problem on ground. So I see the same thing with many of the people in the obedient movement, that they're exercising their right to participate. They are bringing enthusiasm into it. So to them, it's like the followers of Man United. They don't care whether their team is good or not. They just love the team. And they are showing love. And showing love is not bad. But in politics, knowing the issues and matching knowing the accurate profile of the person you are supporting, not just your aspiration into him. So, when you watch the movie, some of these comic, say Superman, children like Superman, but there's no real Superman. They like Spider-Man, but there's no. I've lived in New York many times, and I've seen people fall from buildings. They actually just die because there's no Spider-Man who is actually going to come and rescue them. But children believe in that. But as you grow up in politics, you realize that there's no Spider-Man, there's no Superman, and that whoever wants to solve poverty has to first understand econometrics, has to know how to balance a budget, has to have discipline, has to know what in the economy is called opportunity costs, and he has to know how to make the right choices, and has to be in good company, and has to be consistent in his messaging. So it's going to be a beautiful ending in this election, and I hope that when the election ends, that many of the obedience and other young enthusiasts or newbies in politics will sustain their interest. They are not going to collapse when they realize that the whole smoke has ended. That they are going to now stay engaged and now say, okay, what are the issues that were litigated in this campaign? If you are, for me, I don't mind if you support my opponents. I am interested in the issues that make you to do so. So, because those issues that are important to you are going to continuously engage you in politics. And for example, I've narrowed my interest to eradication of poverty. I will not die in this country leaving poor people behind. We must find an end to it. I would not end my political career and still have insecurity in this country. And thirdly, I will run or at least live under an accountable government before I die in this country. So those are the things that are keeping me in politics. Other people might have their own. Some, they will say, in my lifetime, somebody from my ethnic group is going to become president in my... I live in America when Obama was running. There were people who were shedding tears. They don't care whether Obama will be sworn in and die the next day. They say, in my lifetime, I see a black man inside the White House. Let's even go there and set the building on fire. I don't care. So at that time, their aim was that a black man enters the place. Now they have grown up. Black man has entered. Black woman has followed. Their poverty remains the same. So they are now beginning to understand that, okay, we've achieved that symbolic thing. Now what can we further put on the table? So I believe that we can be in politics, but our political evolution differs from person to person. So someone like me, immediately I became like 18 years old. I realized that someone from my hometown becoming president is meaningless. Somebody from my religion become president is meaningless. But I realized that a president who is committed, like my leader Aminu Kano, to eradicating poverty and uplifting the working classes is actually the true lover of the country. Because where teachers are not poor, taxi drivers are not poor, carpenters are not poor. I live in Australia, and I see that even my driver who will drive me to work lives in the same house of the same quality as I live as a lawyer. It's just that he's a driver, but it doesn't mean he's poor. So, and the last time I saw him, he was inviting me to the graduation of his daughter from one of the best universities in Melbourne, Australia. So even though he's just a driver, his children will attend the best schools, he will live well. And when my wife came to see me in Australia, and you look at the driver, look at his family when we got together. There was no difference between my family and the family of the driver. I always job to drive me. So when you want to create a society like that, where a train worker who works just a ticketing officer on a train in the train station is able to produce medical doctors, pharmacists, engineers, and head of state. So that is the interest. So a time is coming where every obedient, every Baptist or every articulate will get their politics to that level where it is those issues that they will be following, not personality.
All right, let's quickly talk about Naira redesign. And of course, the APC presidential candidate, he described the policy as one that is targeted at his candidacy. Does the policy also affect your campaign in any way?
There's no policy. Please, I think journalists should teach politicians English. This Naira design it's not a policy, it's an exercise. A policy is a reasoned direction given in government with reason and objective. If the CBN governor decides to buy crayon and change the color of his paper, it's an exercise. There's no policy from which he derives it. Nobody understands what he's doing, but he has the power to change the color of his money. But I wish he had taken more time to change the value of the money, because what money can buy is what money is, not the color. So, if I'm going to use 2,000 naira to buy agege bread, whether the 2,000 naira is yellow or green or blue, how does it change my life? So that exercise is relevant to us in SDP. It's their personal problem, doesn't affect us. As for the hallucination of the presidential candidate of APC, I don't, maybe he's traumatized. I don't know his problem. I'm not in that party. But I think what I can suspect, which is not making psychologists, is that they tend to suspect each other whether this person is working for me, not working for me. That's their internal problem. It's something to do with us. But what we know is that if you want to change currency, you have to ensure that it doesn't disrupt exchange in the market. Because if people want to sell goods and services, and the fact that they're not sure what is the real money is the reason why they won't do it, you are depressing the GDP of the country. Two, if you are creating convenience, for example, it will surprise you, like the Kenya local government is as big as Lagos State in Kogi State. It's even bigger than Lagos State in size. So if you go to the Kenya local government, how many banks are there? If you go to Geshua or Jakusko in Yobe State, it's as big as Ogun State as a whole. And you'll be surprised that only 2 banks will be there. So, and people travel using camel to go around. So, if you are Central Bank of Nigeria, you are not Central Bank of the Villa. You have to take in terms of what is the impact of this. In fact, I can tell you today, counterfeiting is very high. Because this crayon is not only Emefiele that has access to crayon. So other people have also gone to buy coloring and they are doing anything and they are presenting it. So it's even cattle rearer now who will tell you this money is not genuine. It has logo, Babu logo, just like that. So you don't ridicule your currency to that extent. So but it's a mere exercise, so it's poorly conducted, but it is better to allow them to conclude it. And if you look at the money, it's already bleaching in many places. And so eventually when you come in, we would probably improve the currency. I worked for many years as a lawyer to currency producers. In fact, if you check litigation all over the world on currency production, you will see my name there. So I'm an expert in currency production. So, and many of the companies that are top-rated companies in currency production, they're not involved in this one they're doing. So I think it's just an exercise, and the money itself will not last if you look at the texture of it. But that's a mere exercise. There's no policy behind it.
All right. Lastly, before we go, how confident are you that you're going to win 2023 presidential election?
My own confidence is just the confidence in the Nigerian people. There is no magic to winning the election than have majority of the people recognize the logo of your party, which is the white horse, recognize the ideas for which you are running for office, and then look at the evidence in their life and say that, well, the situation I find in my life, it appears as if this person is going to be the one to help me. So it's like a person who has a torn dress, and the dress is torn, and the person wants to go for a wedding. If somebody comes to you and says, I'm a carpenter, the other one says, I'm a bricklayer, the other one says, I'm a tailor, the other one says, I'm a hairdresser. It is you who know that my problem is a torn dress. So it will be best for me to give it to a tailor. So the tailor will be confident that, well, since this person's problem is a simple problem of a torn garment, and I'm the only tailor here, he's probably going to give it to me. But if the owner of the dress says, no, I will not give it to a carpenter, and the carpenter uses nail and hammer to join the dress together, it's his right. So next time, when that thing happens again, they will realize that it's better to give it to a tailor. So my concern is to see that we don't run a lazy campaign. We don't sit down in one place. And nobody on election day will be able to say, I never heard of you before. If only I heard of you, I would have voted for you. Once we let every Nigerian know what we stand for and they vote, I will all around in this country, Aminu Kano around in this country, and very few countries in the world who have those two great people run for office and they won't jump at them. So we hope that, and then Abiola ran and he won. So let's message get to the people. I don't have any anxiety. I believe that Nigerians understand that poverty has to go, insecurity has to go, and you need an accountable government if you want to escape these problems of a lifetime. So I have no qualms at all regarding, no worries regarding what the people will do.
All right, thank you, Prince Adewole Adebayo, SDP presidential candidate, Social Democratic Party. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on Political.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity. God bless Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. All right, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, Prince Adewole Adebayo. He is the Social Democratic Party presidential candidate. Also, you can remember to follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. On Facebook, Instagram, our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. To find out up-to-date stories, go to our website, www.vanguardnl.com. I am Precious Chukudi, and thank you.